nasty. Nasty. I gotta sit in this. This is just disgusting. Ugh. Yeah, here's a little hint. When you're using your portable table saw, like I've got one, I've had this thing for years. It just keeps going and going. What I do is, see, I've got my 2 sawhorses I built. I'm gonna have to do a video on how to make those sawhorses. They work awesome, and they last forever, and they're cheap. Anyway, but I stick a sheet of OSB down between the sawhorses, and I screw it down to the sawhorses. That makes a table. It's not, you know, I mean, it's a little floppy. You know, it depends on how thick your OSB is that you use, but it's good enough. It's temporary. And then I take my saw, and it's got 4 holes right down here in the base, and I just throw a screw down into the piece of OSB. Here and back here. That's right. Just throw a screw in there at an angle. That table saw does not move when I'm using it. And I always recommend getting a carbide blade, because a carbide blade will last you oftentimes the life of the saw. I think this is only my 2nd blade I've had, and I've had this saw for probably 15 years, and it's still cutting just fine. Now what I have here is the fascia boards for the outhouse, because you see the roof is curved, and we talked about this earlier. And what I did was I laid the floor down, I mean the wall down on the floor, and traced on top of one of these studs. So now that I've got them cut out, then I'm going to trace them again onto the other board here and then cut it out. You got to keep in mind that the 2 fascia boards are different, because the chunks of roof are different lengths, and they have the same amount of deflection, so the curves are different. There's really nothing that's the same anywhere on this, other than from end to end, because everything's traced over. But the dimensions of one single end, there's no 2 pieces that are the same. It's kind of what gives it its character. Okay, here we have, up at the point here, we have the 2 fascia boards, and we got to make this joint right here. So the only way I can figure out to do this is to make marks right here, where those 2 meet, and then right here and right here where those meet, and then just draw a straight line between them, cut that, and it should fit in there like a glove. I like my straight edges. I never do things exactly right. So if I cut that straight line, and then I cut this straight line, sure, there's some math whiz out there that can tell me how to do this better, using mathematics and all. But then I'd have to learn how to add and subtract and cipher and all that stuff, and I'm just not there. Well, let's cut these and see how they turn out. Well, there we go. Seem to work out pretty good. I mean, it's not perfect, but that's the whole point. I don't want it to be perfect.